Good evening, my name is Dr. Dawn Harper and I will be your chair for this evening's 46th annual Cirencester Town Meeting, which is hosted this year on the stage at the Barn Theatre. Due to COVID-19, the event, normally open to the public, is being live streamed, and you, the viewers, will get the opportunity to send in your questions, which the panel will answer later in the programme. You can send in your questions by commenting on the stream, and if there's time, the councillors will answer all your questions at the end. There are normally 16 councillors, but because of social distancing measures, there are just the 4 of us on stage at 2 metres distance. And representing the Town Council, we have the Mayor, Councillor Patrick Coleman, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Cllr Bloomer, and Chair of the Climate Change Advisory Group and a member of the Cirencester Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group, Councillor Sabrina Poole. Welcome to all of you to tonight's event, and I'd like to kick off by handing over to Councillor Patrick Coleman, the Mayor, who will take you through the minutes of last year's meeting.
Good evening. You'll be pleased to know I'm not actually going to read the minutes out. There were no questions left over at last year's meeting, so it's a small bit of procedure to do. I just have to ask my 2 colleagues to agree with me by saying yes and raising their hands, to approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of May 2019, which was held in Bingham House last year. Those in favour, please show. That's agreed unanimously. Thank you very much indeed. I now hand back to Dr. Dawn.
The annual report, which is available on the Town Council's website and via their social media, gives the public an overview of the key services and projects that the Town Council has delivered over the past 12 months. It also provides important financial information and how the Council has engaged with the public and ways in which the public can interact with the Council. Each core service area has a lead member, so let's hear from 1 or 2 of those lead members now.
Hello, I'm Gary Selwyn. As the lead member for Community Services, I'm delighted to summarise the huge range of activities this group has undertaken in the previous year. The credit for these achievements goes to Becky Coles, our Community Services Manager, and her team, Sarah Bartlett, Community Services Officer, and Valerie Smith, Administrator, who continue to deliver these activities with skill, commitment and incredible enthusiasm. This is a team who embrace new ideas and have managed to nurture and grow a community I'm sure we're all proud and happy to be a part of. I could just touch on, if I may, the various themes the Community Services Group have undertaken during the year. Start with markets and events. Our markets play a key role in the economic development of our town and provide not only a great experience for the town's own population, but for visitors too. We pride ourselves on the variety of markets that we offer. In addition to our regular weekly markets, we've welcomed a variety of touring markets this year, including a garden and leisure market, continental and French markets. We champion local traders and local produce, not only through the twice weekly farmers market, but across our weekly markets, Fleece Fair and Advent Festival. Obviously, as you know, due to the impact of the coronavirus pandemic, we had to stop the markets, but I'm thrilled that we're now looking at reopening them from next week. The weekly charter market, running on Monday and Friday, and the farmers market on the 2nd and 4th Saturday of each month are continuing to thrive, and we're building up traders week on week. In addition to those 2 well-known ones, there's also a range of speciality markets that we offer. They include a youth market, World Village Market, Continental Markets, Twilight Market, France at Home Market, delicious food at that one, and a range of other ones. There's also a range of other activities that we're using in the marketplace. People will, I'm sure, recognise the Fleece Fair returning, Classic Car Show, mop fairs and the Advent Festival, something I hope for everybody in town. In terms of community support, this group has a community projects fund, £3,500 set aside each year, and donations to the Civic Society, various community groups, Phoenix Gardeners, St Michael's Park Volunteers. All of those contributions help make the place an even better place to live and work and enjoy. We also work with community and friends groups. This year, with the Town Council support, community groups and friends groups have taken part in a range of activities that include litter picking, dog fouling schemes, safer driving initiatives, community response schemes in poor weather, family fairs, Advent Festival, Love Parks Week. The list is endless. The sheer amount of work that goes into delivering these activities is a testament to the hard work of the team that works for the community services at the Town Council. In terms of community safety, we have a partnership with Gloucestershire Constabulary on CCTV, which offers 7 days a week, 365 days a year cover, and officers are able to receive details in real time. When cameras break or wear out, we enhance their services. This system is not only more effective, but considerably cheaper than the one that we used to run. Children and young people, we also deliver lots of activities. There's the Ozone Hub with new bespoke premises. The start has been delayed somewhat because of the understandable problems we've all been suffering over the last 10 weeks. But that one is going to be up and running hopefully this year. We've also put in Ozone to be open for longer hours every day in the school holidays. There's been various free scooter workshops and again a whole range of activities facilitated by the team at the Town Council. Lastly, we've also undertaken play sessions working with a registered charity called Play Gloucestershire, which provides after school sessions in Chesterton aimed at children and young people between 7 and 14. The Play Rangers, as they're called, put on a variety of activities for young children, and again it's been not only really successful but gives a very welcome break for children to do things outside of school. In particular, that's pretty important now. That gives you a flavour, I hope, of what the Community Services team have achieved over the past year. It's considerable and it's been undertaken with enormous amounts of commitment and enthusiasm, and my thanks go to all of the officers involved and all of the councillors that have sat in on the Community Services Group over the past year. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Nigel Robbins. I'm Town Councillor for the Beaches in Cirencester, and I'm also Chair of the Audit and Finance Group of the Town Council. I'm here to give you a report on the year's progress. In most years in March, Town Councillors gather to interrogate members of the paid staff about financial controls. It happens over a course of 2 days and is quite searching. This year that didn't happen because of COVID-19. The first security arrangements in terms of close proximity working came in at the very point where we should have met. However, everything else for 2019 and 2020 in the financial sphere was conducted properly. The internal audit report we received shortly before that, which we commissioned externally as we normally do, didn't produce an action plan, which is good, and it was unable to qualify its positive findings. Qualify in this sense means criticise, since in their own words, no significant concerns or issues have been identified during the course of testing. And they went on to commend the town clerk and his staff for the standards of work undertaken. In addition to returning a small surplus on the income and expenditure account, the council was able in 2019-2020 to support the light rail feasibility project, to commission a useful public transport review, to revise and extend its community grant scheme, to support a new climate change advisory group, and to start to commission a new employment law and health and safety contract following competitive tendering. We don't directly employ specialists in those areas. Also, towards the end of the year, cheque payments to creditors were largely converted to automated BACS payments. As in 2018-2019, for the following year, an extensive consultation was carried out in respect of the draft budget for this year, 2020-2021. Facebook, Twitter, an online questionnaire and a postcard survey delivered with Cirencester Scene magazine were used, and in all 550 responses were received. Nobody likes paying more taxes, but a proposed increase of £46,000 in the council tax or precept to extend youth provision and better maintain our open spaces was well enough supported by the public. This results in an increase of 82 pence per month for a Band D household and is set against a reduction in the expected tax base overall, as well as the phasing out of the annual support grant from the District Council. The total income available to the Council in 2020-21 will be just under £1 million. At present, councillors are not paid, but this issue was raised and an independent review of the case for members' allowances will be sought in the course of the next year. Looking ahead, the 2021 budget will have to be revised, not because the Council has given out exceptional grants during this crisis, which they have, but because, like other councils, its income from markets, lettings and sale of goods has significantly fallen. The Finance and Audit Group of Councillors, 7 members, meets regularly to oversee budget estimates, the medium-term financial plan, systems of internal controls and financial policies, as well as the regular schedule of payments, income and expenditure changes, and the sale and purchase of land. It reports to the full Council on all of these matters. And may I add, in conclusion, what a pleasure it has been working and living for a town where people help each other so generously in the course of this terrible crisis. Thank you.
Thank you to the councillors for those videos. So let's start with the first question, which I think is a general question for all 3 of you. Looking back over the last 12 months, what do you want the public to know that they may not be aware of? And what are you looking forward to in the coming year? So shall we just go left to right? Rebecca, do you want to start?
Hello. Well, I think something we're really starting to improve on now is how we consult the public about decisions we make and the plans we make. For example, the Neighbourhood Development Plan survey went out in the free Cirencester Scene magazine to every single household in Cirencester. And we also had a free post survey all about what people want to see in Cirencester, which will help contribute to our neighbourhood development plan, which is in process. I'm also really proud that we're starting to engage further with schools, particularly the secondary schools and the college, with students about what they would like to see in the future in Cirencester.
Mayor, would you like to answer the same question?
Thank you very much. I was just reflecting that I suspect not everybody knows how much open space the Town Council owns and manages. In particular, part of what we own around City Bank is almost the only local nature reserve in the whole of Gloucestershire. We're very proud of the way that volunteers help us look after our land and how well, on the whole, local people enjoy and respect it. What I'm looking forward to in the coming year is the resumption of normal services, particularly Advent, I suppose, where we hope that we'll be fully back to a really good festival. But I also think that in the climb back from the emergency, I'm looking forward to how we address, as the climb back from the COVID emergency, how we look at the climate change emergency and how we look at things like cycling, more home working, and how to look at our town centre, because I think our town centre, like all the others in the country, may have suffered some permanent changes as a result of this COVID-19 emergency. That's probably enough, because I've got another speech to make later.
Thank you very much. And Claire, what do you think?
Thank you, Dr. Dawn. As head of personnel, I really want to point out to the public is how hard the town council staff have been working. From the moment the lockdown happened, they were working at about 85% full capacity. They have supported initiatives throughout the town, including the Cirencester Community Response Group, and I want to thank them for sending out every household in Cirencester a leaflet giving people telephone numbers to contact if they needed help. And alongside that, I'd also like to thank my fellow councillors who have stepped up and become volunteer coordinators, helping communities and people within their wards through this crisis. And I very much look forward to helping Cirencester and the community and all the businesses as we open the doors and see lifting hopefully eventually come out.
Hear, hear. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to hand back to the Mayor, Councillor Patrick Coleman, for an update from the police.
Thank you very much, Dr. Harper. At our annual town meetings, we usually get our favourite local policeman, Garrett Gloyne, and he comes along and briefs us on how the police are doing, who the habitual criminals are that are out and who are the ones that are in, and the police's successes over the years. Now, we haven't got that this year. Police are not surprisingly a bit busy with a lot of other matters, but we have got a message from Inspector Simon Elson, who is the inspector who covers the whole of the Cotswolds and with whom the District Council is working quite closely. And he says, "I hope this message finds you all well and coping during these challenging times. I'm sorry I can't be with you this evening. I thought it might be useful just to touch base and give you a brief update of where we are locally. I know the Town Council makes contact with myself and the local officers as and when required, but I'm conscious that due to COVID-19, there has been limited scope for me to attend local meetings. We've been busy with the open spaces patrols, and as you all know, since the restrictions have been eased slightly since last week, there have been more people out and about. I think this is the start of the return to normal, but what this will be, I don't think we know yet. I'm also aware that locally, there is concern regarding the potential number of visitors to Cirencester and the surrounding areas. The police's role going forward is still very much the 4 E's approach, which is engage, explain, encourage and enforcement. Enforcement being the last resort. The police cannot enforce social distancing. It's simply impractical, but we can encourage and explain the law to locals and visitors. And this is very much the focus. When and where there are clear and egregious breaches of the COVID-19 regulations, we can and do issue tickets if appropriate. Throughout COVID-19, we have still been undertaking our regular work. And this is very much the message. We are open for business and we would encourage anyone to report matters to us if they feel we can assist them. There have been concerns of domestic abuse and other safeguarding issues not being reported to us. We have dedicated officers to deal with these issues, and please, they must be reported. I also have a weekly Skype meeting with colleagues from Cotswold District Council and other partners through the Community Safety Partnership, which is chaired by Councillor Jenny Ford. The aim very much being to ensure we are doing all we can locally to ensure the district is supported through these difficult times. Please keep in contact with your local neighbourhood officers and don't hesitate to contact me if you think I can assist. And that's the message from Inspector Simon Elson of the Gloucestershire Police for the Cotswold District. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have a video about an exciting light rail initiative to reconnect Cirencester to Kemble. A project supported by the Town Council and Cirencester Community Development Trust. And after this video, Councillor Patrick Coleman will give the annual address.
Hello, my name is Richard Gunner and I'm the chair of the Cirencester Community Railway Project. This brief 5-minute video is an introduction to the project for anyone who is not aware of it, and a summary of its progress so far. Firstly, the inspiration for the project and its benefits. It will make Cirencester more accessible for tourists, students, businesses, and will add tens of millions to our local economy. It will make the rail network, Swindon, London, and the rest of the UK more conveniently accessible to Cirencester's residents. Most importantly, it will form part of our vital structure to enable modal shift away from cars to planet-friendly forms of transport. From Kemble Station, the very light rail train will follow the old alignment until Park Lees and then swing left. It's not possible to reach the town on the old route all the way due to development. So it will glide across open fields to the new University Station serving the Royal Agricultural University and the Chesterton development. Then it will follow the Tetbury Road to the Stroud Road roundabout, where College Holt will serve students and staff of Cirencester College and Deer Park School and residents of Chesterton. The train will then descend the hill to the Town Holt, next to the old station car park and close to the centre of town. We're currently undertaking the feasibility study, which was initially divided into 2 phases, primary and secondary. We have funding for the primary phase, but to ensure due diligence, we have first completed a 1-month preliminary phase to check for showstoppers. Now that's done, we will proceed with the remainder of the primary phase, taking 2 more months to build our business case and assemble the material for a formal application. If it all goes to plan, we will then commission the secondary phase, which will take 9 months to produce detailed designs ready for construction to begin. The preliminary phase has analysed these aspects. Route options have been examined and the best have been selected. The foundation structure has been shown to be sound. A study of the route and its surroundings has shown no conflict with protected species. All the bridges and crossings have been examined and the necessary work included in budgets. A risk analysis has been conducted for the construction and operation of the service and shows there are no unusual problems. Analysis of bus and cycle routes has shown that the VLR will work well as part of an integrated transport plan, and we very much favour the proposal of a bus train hub at the old station car park. We have also received letters of support from the Bathurst Estate and the RAU, the main affected landowners. The next tasks for us are to estimate the expected patronage. Due to the lockdown, we haven't been able to conduct the usual surveys of travellers and the public, so instead we will rely on established techniques based on theoretical analysis. We will also agree the details of the route with the landowners and the CDC. And we will continue to seek further funding. The Department for Transport has invited us to discuss with them how best to take this project forward to the next stage. The current position, then, is that we are leading the way for low-cost, very light rail solutions to link towns across the UK. We are in tune with Green Cirencester's awareness of the importance of the environment, and we are in step with the government's plans for green transport infrastructure. If you have any questions, you may find the answers on our website, sirentrain.org.uk. Otherwise, you can get in touch with us through the website. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. I'm now going to hand over to Councillor Patrick Coleman to give the annual address, but before I do, just a little reminder, if you do have questions for the panel tonight, please post them on the live stream and we'll get to as many as we can at the end of the meeting. So, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Harper. Thank you to people watching this, whether live or in the future. Thank you very much for joining us. And a particular thanks to the Barn Theatre for hosting this event. They're becoming old hands at this sort of thing, and they're showing great creativity, of course, in responding to the loss of their main activity and their main source of income. Thank you, Dr. Harper, for taking the chair this evening. I must say, your own broadcasts from the barn that I've seen have been exemplary, clear, interesting, relevant and professional. I must find out where your surgery is. I'll start by recalling the sadness of losing one of our former mayors in the last year, Brenda Potter, a former councillor for my own ward, Stratton Ward. I was able to attend her funeral in January with a total, I think, of 6 former town mayors. She set a fine example of principled determination in standing up for her principles and our community as a voluntary local town councillor. It is a great privilege to serve as mayor and a great pleasure to meet so many of the people and the organisations who make this town so attractive and so rewarding to live in. I'll just give 4 examples. The Cirencester Community Railway Initiative we've just heard from, with both the town and district councils contributing towards the cost of their feasibility study. Another is the Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group, which has made real progress in the last year. I'd like to thank both Sian Burke-Murphy, our Plan Administrator, and Tristan Wilkinson for chairing the group through its early stages. We now have former Town Councillor Brian Hudson taking us through the next stage. The Phoenix Gardeners volunteers have been brightening up our town for some years now in the best possible way. The parish church has organised volunteers to do dozens and dozens of shopping collections for those who can't get out due to COVID-19. And actually this will make about 5, won't it? I wanted to mention Cirencester against bus cuts, because as a small group they've done a great job in engaging with Stagecoach in particular every time the bus company comes up with new cuts. And usually, as a result of that, we get a partial restoration or an improvement. They've set a great example too. Well, the reason I mention these is that the Town Council, every one of the staff and councillors, recognise it has an important role working in partnership with and supporting such groups. And this year we opened up applications for grants to a wider range of organisations. I was very pleased that this meant we were able to start to support the Barn Theatre with £1,500 for improving access to tickets from less fortunate groups. And incidentally, I'm not going to ask for that money back just because you're shut for a bit. We also gave new grants to the Cirencester Street Pastors. I have to declare an interest as I'm one of them. Cirencester Housing for Young People, the Churn Project and the Rotary Club, while continuing our grants to the Open Air Poole, Chesterton Scout Hut, the Living Memory Historical Association, Cotswold Counselling and the Stroud and Cirencester Citizens Advice Bureau. I should say in passing that I like to talk about Cirencester having things that nobody else has got, or almost nobody. One of them is our wonderful open air pool. Another one is our Cirencester Housing for Young People. And the one that always reminds me is the Living Memory Historical Association, another organisation that hasn't been able to open for its regular Saturdays through the spring and summer. Tremendous achievement over a long period of years by a small number of volunteers. Well, turning from all that good news, we do have some continuing problems, I should say challenges, shouldn't I, with the County Council over maintenance of the marketplace surfaces, with on-street parking in the marketplace for people with blue badges, and with the Cricklade Street pedestrianisation. The signage, of course, needs improving there, and I hope we'll get traditional gates. But guided by our Chief Executive, Andrew Tubb, who has shown immense patience and experience in dealing with the County Council, we have tried to work our way through without upsetting them any more than I'm doing now. I should mention with regard to Cricklade Street that our nearby friends at Chippenham Town Council have had gates on their high street for 20 years now. They have proved simple, economic and effective. We've started to look at Chippenham's Council's experience elsewhere in taking on activities and services from their upper council, Wiltshire Council, so as to ensure that cuts go no further, and also their practice of having a ceremonial mayor serving alongside a council leader. Turning to what's on all our minds, the Town Council's response to the COVID-19 crisis demonstrated its principles of vision, flexibility and cooperation, working alongside the county and district councils in their efforts to support the large number of people affected by the crisis. The next year will be full of challenge, with the town's economy, in particular the vitality of our town centre, needing to regenerate in the context of the climate change emergency and the effects of the recession caused by the pandemic. I'm confident that your town council, both staff and councillors, will show the same creativity and determination in the face of these challenges that they have done in the past. There will also be opportunities in the changed world that COVID-19 has brought us, not least for cycling and home working, which may help with the climate change emergency. And whilst recognising the hardship and the heartbreak and the frustrations and fears caused by the pandemic, we can now also perhaps see the sense in the saying, never allow a good crisis to go to waste, as it may be an opportunity to do things you had never considered possible or that you'd never thought of before. I hope that hasn't upset anybody, but it's becoming a bit of a cliche. I would like finally to warmly thank fellow councillors, town council staff and town council volunteers for the huge contribution they made to our town over the past year.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. So it's time for our questions from the public, and the panel will answer as many of your questions as possible. Please remember that in Cirencester, the Town Council, District Council and County Council are each responsible for different services. So if the panel doesn't have the information available this evening to answer your question, a response will be provided as soon as possible via their social media channels. The Town Council has published a Who Does What guide with helpful contact information, and this can be found at cirencester.gov.uk/contact. You can also contact the Town Council at any time with a query via info@cirencester.gov.uk. Before we go to our live streaming questions, some have already been received in advance of this meeting, and I'd like to put some to the panel first. If we could start, I think perhaps one for you, Mayor. When will grass cutting resume?
Well, the team has had problems with machinery as well as all the other problems of COVID-19, but I'm pleased to say that cutting of the main grassed areas and parks has now been carried out, and they're expecting to be moving on to the smaller community areas in the very near future.
Thank you. Sabrina, one for you. Is the Phoenix Festival going to go ahead in August?
Well, the short answer to that at the moment is that we don't know. We are communicating with the group that organise the Phoenix Festival, and a decision will be made by or on the 30th of June. We'd like something to go ahead in some capacity, but obviously we have to abide by the law and we have to look very carefully at all the options.
Thank you. Claire, can I perhaps ask you, I know a very popular question, when are the outdoor markets going to reopen?
Thank you. We are really pleased to announce that they will be opening next week on the 5th of June, and we will be warmly welcoming them back.
Oh, amazing. A bit of lovely news. Great, thank you. OK, let's go back to you then, if I may, Mayor. Can children play on play equipment in Cirencester parks?
Well, while our parks and green spaces are now fully open, social distancing rules on play equipment have not changed. And this includes outdoor gym equipment, barbecue areas and the skate park. Please do not let your children play on the play equipment. It's vital that we stay alert and stay safe.
Thank you. Councillor Poole, does the Town Council have a position on the decked parking proposal at Waterloo?
The short answer to that is no, not yet. That's because a planning application written by the District Council has not yet been received by the Town Council for comment. But when it is, we will all get together, and I'm sure we'll have lots of different views, particularly now due to changes in traffic, etc. from COVID-19, and we'll get together and tell the District Council our views on that planning application.
Thank you very much. Another one about market. When will the marketplace repairs be undertaken? Who wants to take that? Do you want to take that?
Well, some remedial repairs and addressing various drainage issues are a priority of the Town Council over the next 12 months. And when those are done, we hope to see responsibility to transfer back to the County Council as the Highway Authority, except for that pedestrian area in front of the parish church, which the Town Council will continue to maintain and be responsible for.
Thank you very much. Councillor Poole, can I go back to you? How do you plan to increase youth involvement in your decision making?
Okay, so we've been gradually trying to increase this through working with Cirencester College and some schools, and we want to further increase this. I know that Councillor Selwyn is very interested in creating some form of youth council in Cirencester, but we want to look at all the different formats that can take place in, so that we can create one that is the most diverse and representative of the youth in Cirencester. In terms of decisions for the future, I, as chair of the Climate Change Advisory Group for the Council, I am in liaison with the Gloucestershire Youth Climate Panel. a lot of which the members are living in Cirencester, which is great to see. So we're going to be talking to them about how the Town Council becomes carbon neutral, which we're aiming to do very quickly, and also future plans for Cirencester and the design of Cirencester through the Neighbourhood Development Plan. We're also going to be, through the Neighbourhood Development Plan, doing some interactive workshops with young people, hopefully in schools and colleges, but also at places like the skate park and other areas that young people are.
Thank you. Okay, I mean, this may be a very tricky one to answer, but at the moment, Mayor, are all major events cancelled for the rest of the year?
Yes, I wish I had a crystal ball. With the incremental easing of lockdown and social distancing, we are hopeful that we will be able to host the Mop Fair and the Advent Festival as a celebration of community life and a thank you to everyone in the community who's made a difference to helping others during the COVID pandemic. The longer this goes on, the more confident we can be that some kind of normal life will resume.
Thank you. I don't know who wants to take this one. This is a question about grants, come from the live stream. Who can apply for grants? A specific example, could a cheerleading group apply for a grant to buy equipment that would then put Cirencester on the cheerleading map? Would you like to take that one, Sabrina? Thank you.
So the best way to get information is to email info@cirencester.gov.uk, but when grant applications are open, we usually publicise it widely, but if you email them, you'll get the dates for when that's going to be. We have different grant pots for different kinds of things. Our main preferences are usually community groups and things that are open to all and free to attend, etc. But there's a wide range of local organisations we fund for various reasons. So get in touch and we can look at what your organisation does and what might fit with what you need. And then it will go to councillors and we'll decide as a group whether we want to grant you some public funds to help you with what you're doing.
Thank you very much. And another live question. How can you justify increasing taxes at a time when finances are so desperately needed for families struggling through tough times?
Well, we don't put the tax up very much, and it doesn't amount to very much for a Band D household. And from it, we get a huge amount of services. The consultation that was taken was very positive in terms of providing more, particularly towards youth services. And in addition, we need to properly fund looking after the parks and the open spaces that the Town Council has. Last year, it was less than 2% on the tax. This year, it's true that it was more. And of course, most of the consultation and planning for that took place before the COVID emergency really struck. But the most important point is that anybody who's having trouble with paying their council tax should go for assistance. And there are forms to fill in and proper systems to ensure that people get help when they're genuinely in financial difficulty with their council tax.
Thank you very much. And actually, one of the services that you've referenced, we have a question regarding the outdoor pool. Is it likely to reopen if the government allow, or in reality, is it likely to remain closed this year?
Well,
thank you.
That's a decision for the open air pool because they're an organisation in their own right, so it's probably best to contact them directly.
Thank you very much.
I did hear they were hopeful.
Let's all keep our fingers crossed. That's it for this year's annual Cirencester Town Council meeting. Thank you all for watching, and thank you to our panellists. If you've got questions that we haven't mentioned or you'd like to email the councillors, they will be going through every question and answering those over the next few days. But we are very aware that tonight is the last clap for carers, and we certainly don't want to keep you from that. So I'd like to thank you all again for listening and being with us. But we all need to get outside now and clap for the NHS carers, the key workers, social care workers, volunteers, including our local Cirencester Community Response Group, who selflessly continue to do much to meet the needs of others at this unprecedented time. So thank you all very much, and until next year, good night. Let's get clapping.